Hello everyone, it's such a joy to see you again on my channel. In today's episode, we will continue following the heartfelt love story of Lythica and Hùng. As you already know, Lythica is now expecting a baby, a blessing beyond words, but also a turning point in her life. The presence of this little soul has not only made her gentler and stronger, but has also inspired Hùng, a man who has endured many storms, to give her a true home, complete with the honor of being husband and wife. That is why, after many days of thought, the two decided to hold a small and simple yet deeply warm wedding. It won't be grand or extravagant, but it will be filled with the presence of their closest loved ones, those who have walked alongside them, witnessed their struggles, and shared in their joys. The old family courtyard, where every brick, flower bed, and bamboo grove holds memories of both sorrow and happiness, will now become the setting for their big day. There, the laughter of friends, the blessings from family, and the radiant smiles of bride and groom will intertwine, creating a picture of happiness that is both humble and sacred. And now, with just one more day to go, the little house is busier than ever. Lythica and Hùng tidy up the garden, wipe every table, arrange every chair. The scent of wood smoke spreads as they prepare ingredients for the simple dishes that will be served at tomorrow's celebration. Everything may be modest, but it is filled with love and wholehearted effort. In a quiet moment, Hùng gently took Lythica's hand and whispered a vow. "No matter what happens in the future, I will always be by your side. I will love you, care for you, and cherish the child you carry with all my heart. Tomorrow, in front of everyone, I want you to become my official wife." Hearing these words, Lythica's eyes welled up with tears. She knew that tomorrow's wedding would not just be a celebration, but the beginning of a new journey, the journey of a true family, bound together by love. Stay with us through this entire video to feel every precious moment of their wedding preparations, and get ready to witness the sacred moment when Lythica puts on her simple yet joy-filled bridal dress. That morning, as the very first golden rays of sunlight timidly filtered through the bamboo at the end of the lane, the courtyard of Hùng and Lythica's home burst with unusual vitality. The rooster's crow echoed from the far end of the village, sparrows chirped on the moss-stained roof tiles, blending with the swish of a bamboo broom and the splash of water poured across the patchy brickyard. Together, these sounds created a simple everyday symphony, but today it rang out more lively and jubilant than ever. Bare-chested, Hùng revealed his strong back, beads of sweat rolling down his shoulders as he swept away the dry leaves and rearranged the dusty wooden tables and chairs. His calloused hands moved with strength yet great care, as though he were pouring his whole heart into the preparations. The suntanned face shone with determination, half anxious, half elated, for deep inside he knew that in just one day, his life would turn to a new chapter, the chapter of a true husband and father. Though 8 months pregnant and heavy with child, Lythica refused to sit idly by. Slowly, she bent down to pick up fallen yellow leaves on the steps, carefully wiped the thin layer of dust from the old wooden windows, then stooped to neatly arrange the jars along the porch. Her hair was tied back, beads of sweat glistened on her forehead, yet her eyes sparkled with uncontainable excitement. Every small, simple task carried within it her longing for the important day ahead. In her bearing, one could see both the resilience of a woman about to become a wife, and the tenderness of a mother waiting to cradle her newborn. The modest house, with its bare brick walls and moss-streaked roof aged by time, suddenly seemed brighter and warmer than usual. Every corner of the yard, every tree, every familiar object seemed to sense the significance of the day, donning a fresh look, ready to welcome the momentous event, the day Hùng and Lythica would officially become husband and wife. In the corner of the yard, little Tony toddled around, his tiny steps still clumsy, babbling cheerful sounds not yet words. He clutched the tiny baby dress Hùng had bought for his soon-to-be-born sister, laughing gleefully and clapping his hands. His innocent laughter, mingling with the morning sunshine and the fragrance of new rice drifting in from the fields, filled the small home with warmth and joy. At that moment, Hung paused, watching Hoai bending with her swollen belly, his heart overflowing with tenderness. He stepped closer, gently resting his calloused hand on her shoulder, his voice low and warm. "Rest now, let me finish this. As long as you and the baby are healthy, I'll shoulder everything else." Hoai looked up, her gentle smile touched with moist eyes, yet bright with happiness. And in that very instant, Hung understood, this modest home, these ordinary chores, and the woman with the child before him, this was the life he had always dreamed of. After a long spell of tiring chores, Hung and Hoai pulled up chairs and sat on the porch. The early morning breeze drifted in, carrying the scent of rice fields from afar, making the air even more pleasant. On the old wooden table, Hoai poured her husband a bowl of freshly brewed green tea, steam curling upward with its earthy, familiar fragrance. Hung took a sip, then rested his chin on his hand, deep in thought. "Tomorrow we should make boiled chicken, and maybe a pot of braised fish for extra flavor. We still have plenty of vegetables from the garden, fresh and clean. I want our guests to feel the simplicity and honesty of our family." Hoai chuckled, gently stroking her round belly. "I was thinking we must have a pot of sweet mung bean pudding. It will refresh everyone, and without it, a country wedding wouldn't feel complete. Oh, and the children will surely love it." Hung furrowed his brows in mock seriousness, teasing. "Mung bean pudding is delicious, but if it turns out mushy, it might ruin the fun. What if we make mixed sweet soup instead? That would be something new." Hoai playfully flicked his shoulder, her sparkling eyes full of both reproach and affection. "You worry too much. Tomorrow I'll take the lead. If we do it together, it'll turn out perfect. You take care of the other dishes, and leave the sweet soup to me." The couple burst into laughter, their voices ringing through the courtyard, prompting Tony to clap his hands and babble joyfully in response. Amid these light-hearted debates, their eyes shone with happiness, filled with a longing that was at once simple and profoundly sacred. In that moment, Hung suddenly realized, the wedding tomorrow didn't need grand feasts or endless dishes. As long as Hoai was by his side, the child in her womb was growing day by day, and Tony was giggling in the yard, then any meal, no matter how simple, would already be the most perfect banquet of his life. That noon, as the blazing sun cast its light across the vibrant courtyard, Hung suddenly paused while wiping down the chairs. A thought flashed in his eyes, and he turned to Hoai with a voice full of determination. "I'll go into the forest to gather some herbs for you to bathe with. The leaves will cool your body, make you feel more comfortable, and they're good for the baby too." Hoai blinked in surprise, then gave a tender smile. Placing her hand on her round belly, she replied half playfully, half earnestly. "It'll be lonely if you go by yourself. Let me come with you. I'd like to breathe in some fresh air too, and who knows, we might even find some wild vegetables to cook for tomorrow." Hung quickly shook his head, worry flashing in his eyes as he glanced at her belly. "No, that won't do. The forest paths are steep and slippery. You should stay home and rest, leave this to me. All I need is for you to stay healthy." But Hoai would not yield. She lifted her gaze to his, her eyes shining with the familiar firmness of a strong woman, softened by the tenderness of a wife. "I don't want you to go alone. I can walk slowly, and you can support me. Besides, I want to prepare everything for our wedding tomorrow together with you." Faced with her resolve, Hung could only sigh, his heart swelling with love and helplessness all at once. He clasped her hand tightly, squeezing gently as though giving an unspoken promise. At last, the two slung a bamboo basket over their shoulders and slowly set off together down the small path leading into the familiar forest. The trail was shaded by whispering bamboo swaying in the breeze, cicadas singing loudly from the canopy, while the earthy fragrance of damp soil mingled with the scent of wild grass, making their steps calm and serene. From time to time, Hung stooped to pick up a sprig of familiar medicinal leaves, showing them proudly to Lythieuca, as if to prove that everything he did was for her and their child. And Lythieuca, though heavy with her pregnancy, walked beside him with a smile. To her, simply sharing these humble moments with him was enough to make every hardship sweet. In the cool green forest, ancient trees rose tall and proud like pillars holding up the sky. Their dense canopies intertwined, allowing only slivers of golden sunlight to spill through, shimmering as they touched the mossy ground. Those rays seemed to gild the emerald carpet, giving the scene an almost otherworldly glow. In the distance, bulbuls and warblers chirped busily, while the rhythmic tapping of a woodpecker occasionally echoed, blending with the murmur of a stream winding through rocky crevices, together creating a mesmerizing natural symphony. The fresh, crisp air carried the earthy scent of damp soil, the sweetness of young leaves, and the faint fragrance of wild blossoms, filling both Hung and Lythieuca with an unusual sense of peace and lightness. Hand in hand, they walked slowly, as if each step was meant to etch this moment into memory. Every so often, Hung bent down to steady Lythieuca as she crossed a gnarled root or helped her over a slippery stone. His eyes followed her every move, full of both worry and tenderness, wanting to shield her from every burden. Passing a thicket, Hung suddenly stopped. He caught the familiar scent of medicinal leaves that Mother Ha once used for herbal baths. Excited, he gathered handfuls of the fresh green leaves, tying them carefully into bundles, already picturing the steaming pot he would prepare that night, so Lythieuca could soak and relax, her body soothed and the baby nurtured. His eyes shone with quiet joy, the happiness of a man who had found a simple way to care for the woman he loved. As for Lythieuca, though her belly weighed her down, her eagerness could not be hidden. Each time she spotted tender wild greens sprouting through fallen leaves, she stooped to pick a few, marveling at them as though they were gifts from nature itself. Sometimes she exclaimed, her eyes alight, "Tomorrow we can stir-fry these with garlic, it'll be delicious. Or maybe cook them with crab into a cooling soup." The two walked on, talking and laughing, their voices carrying through the quiet forest, making the wild landscape feel warm and close. From time to time, they paused at a small stream winding at the mountain's foot. The water was so clear that every sparkling pebble at the bottom could be seen. Eagerly, Hung rolled up his pants and waded into the cool current, lifting large stones with his hands. At once, crabs scuttled sideways, their claws clicking. He laughed out loud in delight and quickly caught one, dropping it into the bamboo basket. Sitting on a rock by the bank, Lythieuca cheered him on, teasing playfully, "If you're not careful, one of them might pinch you." True to her words, at one point a crab snapped his finger, making him wince and groan. Lythieuca burst out laughing, clutching her belly, her radiant smile lighting up the forest as if it, too, had joined in her laughter. Not only crabs, they sometimes found plump stream snails with jade-green shells glistening under the shafts of sunlight piercing through the leaves. They dropped them into the basket as well, chatting and laughing as if they were carefree lovers on an outing, rather than a couple busily preparing for their wedding. Their laughter rang out, blending with the stream's murmur, the birdsong, and the rustling leaves, creating a wondrous harmony of nature and love. The scene was not only beautiful because of the grandeur of the forest, but also because of the rare peace blooming within their hearts, hearts that had endured so many storms and were now finally tasting simple, complete happiness. In that moment, Hung looked at Lythieuca, his gaze softening. He knew that no matter the hardships ahead, as long as he had her, the child in her womb, and Tony's innocent laughter echoing back home, every struggle would turn sweet. And this serene moment in the heart of the forest, he knew, would be a memory they would cherish for a lifetime. By late afternoon, after a day wandering through the forest, the bamboo basket on Hung and Hoai's backs was filled to the brim with bundles of fresh wild greens, crabs clattering their claws, and shiny stream snails. On the village path glittering under the last golden rays of sunlight, they walked slowly side by side, chatting as they went, their hearts brimming with joy. The moment they stepped into the village market, a wave of sounds washed over them, the chatter of sellers and buyers, the earthy scent of dry straw, the sweetness of ripe fruit, and the smoky aroma rising from small charcoal stoves along the roadside. Hung laid the dew-kissed greens onto a bamboo tray, and within moments, curious customers gathered around. Women pointed and praised. "These vegetables are so fresh, you can tell they were just picked. And those snails. Fry them with lemongrass and chili, they'll be perfect." Hoaica smiled gently, one hand resting on her round belly, while Hung busily sold each bundle of greens, counting the small coins into a cloth pouch. In no time, they had gathered a modest sum. Though not much, it was enough to buy some meat, fish, and a few spices needed for the wedding feast tomorrow. People in the market watched the couple walking side by side and nodded with warm approval, their eyes filled with quiet blessings. Without a word spoken, the radiant smiles around them carried 1,000 wishes of happiness. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the whole village was bathed in a soft orange glow. Carrying bags of meat and fish, with the baskets still holding a few greens, the couple walked home, laughing and chatting all the way. Once there, Hung quickly lit the fire, the crackling of burning wood echoing as the flames cast his shadow across the earthen wall. He dropped the forest crabs and stream snails into the boiling pot, fragrant steam rising and spreading a savory aroma throughout the small kitchen. On the other side, Hoaica spread out the fresh greens in a bamboo basket, rinsing them carefully, then seasoned the soup pot with a pinch of salt and a dash of fish sauce. She worked while talking softly with her husband, her tender voice mingling with light laughter, filling the room with warmth. Little Tony toddled around, occasionally peeking into the kitchen, sniffing eagerly at the aroma of steaming snails, his eyes glowing with anticipation for the special meal. Soon, the savory scent of cooked crab and snail blended with the sweetness of wild vegetables, seeping through the cracks of the wooden doors, filling even the narrow alley outside with the fragrance of happiness. That night, the meal wasn't just a spread of simple forest dishes, it was also laughter ringing bright, loving glances exchanged between Hung and Hoaica, and a shared anticipation for tomorrow, the day they would finally become husband and wife. That evening, the small house sank into the gentle stillness of the countryside. Outside in the yard, the steady chorus of crickets rang out, joined now and then by a dog barking at the end of the lane, or the soft creak of wind brushing through the bamboo. The night sky was clear, with a thin crescent moon stretched like a shy smile, casting its silver light over the grass and the moss-covered roof tiles. In the humble kitchen, the flicker of an oil lamp spread a soft golden glow, illuminating the serene, radiant faces of the young couple. On the old wooden table, the dinner was set out, a steaming bowl of boiled wild greens, a plate of bright red forest crabs fresh from the pot, and a small dish of spicy dipping sauce releasing its fragrant aroma. Not fine delicacies, but the simplicity itself made the meal warm and precious, carrying the effort and affection of both. Hung carefully picked up a piece of crab, dipped it into the sauce, and placed it before his wife, his gentle smile shining in the firelight. In return, Hoaica tenderly set a sprig of greens into his bowl. These small, simple gestures, brimming with love, were like invisible threads binding their hearts closer together. As they ate, they talked. Hung mentioned waking early the next day to set out more chairs and spread a canopy so the guests would be comfortable. Hoaica suggested cooking a pot of sweet mung bean pudding so the children would be delighted and the adults would gather more cheerfully. They spoke of inviting Brother Ha, Mother Ha, Hoaica's foster mother, and a few dear relatives. Together they imagined the courtyard glowing with lights, filled with laughter. Guests gathered around offering blessings from the heart. Hoai's eyes glistened, reflecting the flame of the lamp. She gently placed one hand over her round belly, the other trembling slightly as it held her chopsticks. Her voice, soft as the breeze, carried 1,000 hopes. Tomorrow, our child will see us truly become husband and wife. Tomorrow, our baby will have a real home, with love whole and complete. Hearing her words, Hung set down his chopsticks, silent for a moment before lifting his gaze. His eyes blazed with conviction, holding all the trust and happiness of the coming day. He placed his hand over hers on her belly, squeezing gently as if sealing an unshakable promise. His deep voice rang steady and resolute. Tomorrow, our family truly begins. I promise, no matter what happens, I will always be by your side, raising our child with you. You and our baby are my entire life. In that moment, the lamp's flame flickered like a witness to their vow. Outside, the crescent moon peeked through the bamboo, and the breeze carried the fresh scent of rice into the porch, as though blessing the little home awaiting tomorrow's light of joy. On a mat in the corner, Tony sat clutching the tiny pink dress prepared for his soon-to-be-born sister. Though too young to understand, his eyes sparkled with innocence, and his giggles, pure as an angel's blessing, made the moment all the more sacred. That night, though small, the house brimmed with light, faith, and love. And tomorrow, a new beginning, a new journey, awaited them, wrapped in warmth and sanctity. Outside, the crescent moon had risen high, its silver light pouring over the little garden. The banana leaves swayed gently in the breeze, while the bamboo along the lane rustled as though whispering secrets to the night. Moonlight shimmered on the familiar path, reflected on clay jars and the time-worn roof tiles, cloaking the house in a magical veil. Tonight, the moon was not only a light in the sky, it was like a silent friend, bearing witness to the hopes, the dreams, and the simple but steadfast happiness within this humble home. The day came to a close with a rare sense of peace, a day of bustling chores, a joyful walk in the forest, and a rustic dinner brimming with love. Yet in this ending lay a new beginning, the doorway to an important chapter, the start of a true home, where love, tested by countless trials, was now ready to blossom in the form of a warm, laughter-filled wedding. Tomorrow, in their familiar courtyard, beneath the modest eaves of their home, Hung and Hoai will officially become husband and wife. There will be no dazzling lights or grand banquet halls, but each table, each chair, each simple dish will stand as a testament to their genuine happiness. In their eyes, in the smiles of their loved ones, in Tony's cheerful laughter, every moment will become a memory they will cherish forever. Stay tuned for the next video to witness the sacred moments of Hung and Hoai's wedding day, the day their vows are spoken with pure sincerity, the day their love blossoms into a lasting home. If this story has touched your heart, please leave your blessings for the couple in the comments. Every word you write will be a precious gift of encouragement and joy for them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so you won't miss any of the touching episodes ahead, for many more warm, heartfelt stories are waiting to be shared with you.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đang tiếp tục edit video để làm video về câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Lythieuca tập tiếp theo. Hôm qua do bận một số công việc nên mình không thể lên video, nên hôm nay mình mới có thể đưa video đến cho mọi người. Mình hy vọng rằng video này có thể đưa đến cho mọi người nội dung hay và ý nghĩa để mọi người có thể xem, và hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ theo dõi và ủng hộ cho kênh mình nhiều hơn nữa, để kênh mình có động lực để ra video đều và đầy đủ hơn. Nếu như yêu quý kênh mình cũng như yêu quý các nhân vật thì mọi người có thể để lại bình luận ở dưới phần bình luận, hoặc là nếu như mà có ý kiến đóng góp gì cho kênh mình thì mọi người cũng có thể để lại phần bình luận. Kênh mình sẽ đọc và càng ngày càng hoàn thiện kênh hơn. Và mọi người hãy đăng ký kênh và bật chuông thông báo lên để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé. Tạm biệt.